What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first video version of Looking Ahead to Better Days. For those of you guys who are listening, we have a video because we did it through Zoom this time. We are becoming more and more technologically savvy here. I am Chris.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're here today with the Radical Hope Project. Kelly Willett and Jess. I just blanked on your last name other than Jess Drass.
That is just Drass, Dr. S.
Oh yeah, but there's an M in there somewhere too.
That's just like a middle name.
Yeah, Twitter fucks everything up.
yeah, it's just I like to keep it. I was very sad to leave it, but when I got married, so I just put it in the middle and stuff. But
gotcha. All I could remember was really long M word. And you know what? I'm leaving all of this in here, by the way, because like what you guys don't see at home a lot of the times is like we're all friends, like we've known each other forever. Like I'm a part of the Radical Hope Project too. Like this is something that the three of us are doing together, and so I wanted to have him on the show. We're going to talk about that a little bit before we get into the clusterfuck that's going on right now. So guys, what is the Radical Hope Project?
Me start. Okay.
Nope. Kelly. Right, you got it.
So the Radical Hope Project is going to be, we're still forming a nonprofit for criminal justice reform. And like you said, it was formed by me, you, and Jess, and also my sister-in-law are going to be working on it. We're hoping to do something called participatory defense. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing that yet or not, but using education and grassroots efforts to sort of help raise awareness and help assist those that are entangled in the criminal justice system. What we're doing right now, though, is just trying to raise awareness of the public health crisis that's currently happening in our prisons with the coronavirus coming up.
Yep, absolutely. And that's like that's I think like 6 people died in prisons today. Just today.
Yeah, I just got word that one in Illinois died and about 12 had to be hospitalized. And
it's just and I texted you guys about this because there's a big debate. People want I saw a tweet about a sheriff in Texas talking about who to let out, how do they handle different things, like, and it reminds me of that scene in The Dark Knight where they have the 2 boats and who do you choose, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The prisoners. Or the civilians, and you eventually get to the scene where the one prisoner takes the detonator and throws it out the window, and like neither ship blows up the other one before they can do anything. And I don't know why I thought of that, but like that hit me in a certain way. I'm a Batman fan. We all know that I like comic books.
That's fine.
I kind of feel like, though, it makes me think too of like what are some of the other imagery that we're seeing right now is like these Navy hospital ships, right, that are coming like outside of the Statue of Liberty and everything like that, and how it's in a way even that same decision is being made because supposedly the government is saying that those like that Navy hospital ship in New York is only for quote unquote regular patients, like non-COVID patients, that they're not going to, like, the government is saying, no, these are not for COVID overflow. This is just for the general public. But it's like, who makes that distinction? And how can you really know? And I feel like that's even the same way, like, who's a prisoner and a violent, somebody versus the general public. Like, so it's like these false equivalencies of these false choices that we're just arbitrarily making.
To decide whether or not somebody is moral because they've been to jail is a false choice.
Yes.
The two aren't necessarily related to each other.
Right.
Just like you can't say somebody's moral just because they haven't been in prison.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right, it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
And then in a lot of cases, a lot of these people are just guys who can't, make bail. Like they got busted with, an eighth of weed and now they're sitting in jail. And so they're being exposed to this unnecessarily when they could just have them sit at home.
Yeah.
Right. There's about 450,000 people right now who actually haven't been convicted who are sitting in jail right now because they can't make bail or other pretrial reasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this virus doesn't know walls or prisons. It doesn't it is everywhere. You can scrub and scrub and scrub, but I mean, it's still going to be there, and we have to do something about it. And that's kind of where we're at. But we can't leave people behind while we're doing it, and that while we do it, right? You know,
Right.
we can't lose our own humanity just because we feel that somebody else kind of has, no matter what the crime is. You know,
Right.
just because you've been to jail, you get that the distinction of, you know, you're a criminal, you've been to jail.
Right.
And
it could be over something fucking stupid.
It's actually not in our best interest to not take care of them, because if you see them as lesser deserving, because think about when a cruise ship docks, like people go in and out of prisons, hundreds of people all day long.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about, would you want a cruise ship with COVID-19 docking on your doorstep? Because those are the communities that house these prisons, who have the corrections officers, that the prisons employ hundreds of people. They're going in and out. Those communities are pretty vulnerable right now as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, it just, the whole system needs a reforming, and like that's why we started doing what we started doing. I think me and you definitely read Just Mercy, and that kind of like changed our perspective on things. I talked about it on here a couple of times. You know, just what we learned from the Beto campaign, we kind of brought here and have worked together on that. It's very interesting how many like offshoots of things from the Beto campaign that popped up. Like we all needed an outlet, and depending on like what you wanted to do.
Right.
I think me and Ryan stayed sane through this, and then I had you guys, so we were working on the Radical Hope project and what we wanted to do. Just so it's been so interesting.
Well, I even just keep going back. Like I actually keep going back to the last time I was talking with you guys like this for the podcast was in the house in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so it's like kind of like what has happened since November 1st, even just to kind of look at like, whoa, what a different world we're in, and kind of like Beto brought us together, but it's like it's almost like it was never meant for us to like stay together on that task, because like it brought out this huge force of people that like, you know, we've offshot, I don't know,
Right. These
like
little seeds that he just kind of
so
planted
many
all over the
different
place. Yeah.
places. Like even look at like what Jacqueline's doing right now with the PPE stuff, like with she's doing huge warehouses and factories in LA that she got you know, special permission from the mayor of LA, who she met through our volunteerism with the Joe Biden campaign, like to get, you know, them to have, you know, get the permission to open up these warehouses and give people something to work and do. Like, it's just, wow.
It's incredible.
This is stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know how many of us did shit like this before. Like literally I sat on the couch. I bitched on Twitter a lot. Like you've heard me say that. And then like Kelly and I held a fundraiser for a city council race in Houston, and we raised like $3,000. Like we've all done things, and like we're all doing things, and everybody still has we all have our hands in the pot. And that's what's so great about something like the Radical Hope Project. And you know, right now as we're in the infancy with it, it's nice that we had so many people. Like most of our volunteers are Beto supporters too, like the people who are volunteering in the on Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 who didn't come from the Beto camp, but yeah, it's exciting to have them in there and have people who are excited to say, "Oh yeah, let's jump in and help spread the word."
Mm-hmm. And like we've all known each other forever too. Like so, like people that we've known for a while. Like this has been going on for a year. Beto announced a year ago.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah,
think about that
it's
shit.
crazy how it just kind of builds that momentum, and just like you said, it just carries forth into all these little things. So, you know, it's great to see these little these seeds sprouting and bearing fruit all over the country. I mean, you know, just hearing about all these great things that people are doing, you know, it definitely makes it feel like it was all worth something for sure.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. None of us wasted our time, and you know, his campaign, if nothing else, has done some just absolutely great things. And, you know, as we move on, cause like, if you guys are pretty much anybody in America at this point, unless you live in fucking Florida, you're in your house.
Yes.
We're all on quarantine, and before we get into life in quarantine, because we wanted to talk about that because it's fucking weird. I wanted to go ahead and make the, I guess, the standard PSA: stay the fuck at home. Like, seriously,
Yes.
stay the fuck at home. I have a friend of mine, and I'm not getting into any kind of details, who has a COVID patient in his family, and it is just so upsetting to me, like, just knowing that somebody close to me is going through that, even though I'm not going through it myself. And like, because I worried about, he's one of my closest friends. I worry about him, and stay the fuck at home. Seriously.
Yes.
Just stay. If you want to go out, like, at this point, like, nobody should be going out anywhere. Fucking Mississippi and Florida. We're gonna get to the states here
Mississippi,
later.
Florida, Oklahoma, pretty much all the red states. I think pretty much we can agree have just been handling this pretty awfully.
Yeah, well, I think we all pretty much know how everybody feels about Florida. This is where we're at with Florida. Florida is its own entity in much the way that, I guess, like, they made a documentary about it, but they shot it in fucking Oklahoma. Because the Tiger King is nothing but, like, it's the Florida Man documentary.
It is, but he's from Oklahoma. That guy's from Oklahoma. He's not from Florida.
Oh, I know. I know.
Why do you think Texas makes fun of Oklahoma so much?
Well, we've got West Virginia.
But I saw that. Don't even get me started on rural South Jersey. Sorry, but anyway. But
down near Rowan,
Cowtown. Anyway, I'm gonna be quiet. But it's just so, even just, I'm gonna just say on the Tiger King, of like watching that, I'm just like, oh, I have this like deeper understanding of 2016, like of just kind of like, wow, okay, like I get this,
right?
And just like that whole, like, even just cult and fanatical mentality, and just like your sense of belief and all, just wow, yeah.
That's all you can say about that.
I felt better about myself. Dude, and I'm not even done with it. We've only watched 3 episodes.
It gets better.
I know it gets better because I've caught people on it.
Next podcast.
Keep going.
Here's my thing. Here's my big takeaway, right? A lot of the guys who work are like Joe Exotic's husbands, right? The one guy has like 4 teeth, and apparently he got them fixed, so good for him. But he's got all of this money, like, why is there no dental hygiene going on? Like, what do you got? Like, how does that happen?
Meth.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, doing that kind of dental reconstructive work would be like $40,000-$50,000. I think that's probably going to the meth.
It's meth mouth is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Don't worry, just keep watching. It starts making sense.
Watching.
And trust me, when you start getting to points along the way where it's like, things just stop phasing you at some point. At some point you're like, oh, at some point you're like, oh my God, that's insane. And then you realize that, like, Scarface is the most rational person on the show.
Well, I picked up on that. Just kind of say too, like, as from the mindset of a researcher and like a trauma researcher and I'm just like, wow, yeah, this is like trauma is really like a motivating factor in how so many of these people behave. Like, you're just like, okay, like, I'm just like, nothing surprises me anymore, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I get why you did that. Like, I don't agree with it, but I get why you did it.
All right,
it's insanity.
So we don't spend the entire time talking about this insane Tiger King. How about we go around? Okay, so give me another TV show then that you like to watch. Or what's your favorite TV show then, if you would binge in this time?
Like, right now, it's Westworld and Picard.
Oh,
that's a good one.
All about
Picard.
that.
Oh,
Dolly's a big fan of the Star Treks. I've heard her talk about that.
I'm a big fan
another listener.
Of The
Shout out to Dolly.
Expanse and Breaking Bad are my 2.
Wait, what was the first one?
The Expanse and Breaking Bad.
Oh,
Nice.
Both very good.
I watched the history of horror. Shudder has a free download, so I've been watching like old shitty horror movies. Like it's one of my things. I like really bad movies, but I really, really enjoy bad horror films. And some of them on there are actually pretty good. Like there's a bunch of classics. I was surprised by all of the stuff that was on there. And that is pretty much what I've done with my time when I've not been watching cartoons.
A lot of cartoons.
I have a 1-year-old, and also I was back for just a second back to the Tiger King. I was unaware that they did any kind of drugs because at that point in time, like he was like the anti-drug guy. Like,
just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. I'm sorry, I might have ruined it for you. Just keep going. Just keep going.
I didn't even click in my brain because I just
keep watching.
Like I thought he might have gotten him knocked out. Like genuinely, he worked in a tiger cage. Somebody lost an arm and went back to fucking work. Dedication. All right, so
we gotta move on.
Clearly,
you can't get we circle back to Tiger King.
I know it's in the ether.
Yes.
So as you all know, you can tell how life in quarantine is going.
Yes,
and that is for the states that are actually fucking doing something that is outside of like Florida and in Mississippi, who like is trying to. The governor of Mississippi tried to block all the mayor's state shelter in place order, or shelter in place, which is kind of a misnomer. I heard Cuomo talk about it. And it made a lot of sense to me. So shelter in place, basically, is like from World War II or whatever, because people get fucking bombed. So that was a carryover into like school shootings and shit. Like when they call over the loudspeaker, lockdown, you shelter in place, meaning you stay in one place and you don't move. This isn't necessarily a shelter in place. It's a stay in your goddamn house. One, you can go outside like on your property, but for damn sure don't go to like, a restaurant inside, which is any place around here is closed, but it doesn't look like it's like that in other places like Florida and Mississippi. Like they're encouraging, like they just arrested a pastor in Florida for having a church service. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
Well, they're arresting people here in Jersey. Like, I mean, if you guys have seen the stuff, like Lakewood is, I don't even want to get into it all, but it's like there have been like they had weddings last week, and they then there was a whole thing of like cops coming, and Governor Murphy in Jersey has been saying, also like, listen, you thought we were kidding? No, like they're breaking up stuff in the street, arresting people for being outside and gathering. Like not to a crazy point, but it's like, especially this one specific town of Lakewood has just not, refusing the orders.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like that everywhere, and the states are genuinely doing something about it. New York, New Jersey, Virginia, but there are states that are lacking behind. Like Cuomo has pretty much made himself like the de facto president. Like he came out of nowhere, but dude's gonna run for president at some point in time. But
maybe.
He's making a damn good case for it.
Well, but I mean, he would have this year if he wanted to. Like, I feel like this would have been the time, but he was actually one of the first people to like back.
Has there ever been a mayor of New York that you've been a good politician? Think about Giuliani.
Oh. All right. Well, you can't compare anybody to Giuliani.
I mean, come on. Start thinking about it. Think about it for just a little bit. Yeah, he's doing a good job right now. Just give him credit for credit's due and leave it at that.
Fair enough. I mean, like, he's doing, I didn't say he's doing a good job. I mean, he is doing a great job, but I'm just saying he's trying to make the case. Like, he's acting in a certain way that you would want a president to act.
Yes. Or to
I'm not saying he'd be a good person. Not. I'm saying he's the case to run.
Anyone in charge should act. I mean,
exactly.
Like, I can argue that during Hurricane Sandy, Chris Christie did a great job. Like, I mean, like in managing the situation. So it's like we were, I guess, spoiled, right, to understand that our leaders, our government, our lawmaker, like our governors, right, this is what you're supposed to do. When there's a crisis, you're supposed to act in a way that's, a leader. And it's just so pronounced when you compare it to what we have in the White House.
Oh,
absolutely.
God.
Absolutely.
Oh, God. Yeah, especially the making, trying to even political scores and making enemies, and up there just squandering opportunities to be, bring people together. And okay, I'm going to go on a little side tangent rant and
I love it. Let's go.
give a special fuck you to Governor Abbott too. During this entire process, Texas, they tried to play cute and decided to call all abortion services elective surgeries and therefore ban abortions in Texas during the time while we're on lockdown. Now, this is stupid in multiple ways. First on off, abortions 90% of the time are a pill. You don't have a surgery, and even if it is a surgery, it's an outpatient surgery, not something that you're going into a hospital and having like a surgical suite of people, right? These aren't like high-risk procedures. So a big fuck you to Greg Abbott for that. Fortunately, we had I just saw it today, there was a court ruling that overturned that decision. So that didn't last very long, but the fact that they actually are out there trying to play games with this, which just kind of goes to show that, we focus a lot on Trump, but it's not just him. It's up and down the line.
There are assholes everywhere.
It's rotten to the core. I'm sorry. It's rotten to the core. It's been that way for a while. It's time to, they got to fix something here because this isn't working.
Now do Dan Patrick.
This is what you get when you have a fucking radio jock for a. Never mind. Pass.
Yeah, I got you. Fuck Dan Patrick. I don't know.
Fuck Dan Patrick. Fuck Ken Paxton. Fuck the whole three.
Fuck them all.
The triumvirate.
All of them. Every single one of them. I am gonna go back to something that Jess said. I was in New Jersey. Like I lived on the Jersey Shore for Sandy, and I also lived on the Virginia Shore for Isabel. So I know what good hurricane response looks like. And it was shit in Virginia in 2003. I can tell you that much. FEMA dropped the fucking ball. They're still picking up pieces from that. And I'm sure they're still picking up pieces in New Jersey, but Christie came out and looked presidential. When I was in Pocosin, the town that I grew up in, was probably the hardest hit. And I remember standing on one of our like main roads, or what you would call a main road, like just dirty because I had been, and I've got, water on, like having been wet because I'd been pulling. I got pneumonia. Because I was in the water pulling carpet out of people's houses and then handing out ice. And like they eventually had to tell me to stop because I was sick. And I remember standing on this road and I saw some limousine goes by and it was Tom Ridge. And it was, I believe it was it might have been in the governor at the time. That was it. Those are the only people I ever saw, like in a really heavily hit area. That was it. There were a lot of people who showed up for Sandy. So leadership did a much better job up there than they did down here. It sucked, and people had no idea what was coming. Right. I was the only person. Like I went in the day before Sandy to get everything I needed because nobody else did, and literally nobody else did. They weren't prepared. It was
scary.
It was very scary. I mean, I grew up having hurricanes every other year, so I knew it was coming. I knew what it could look like, but a lot of people didn't, and those were scary, and the government really did a good job there. But fuck Trump and every single person who gets up there and kisses his ass at those Trump pressers. That brings us to our last topic of the evening, the kiss ass Trump effect. The only person who has been giving us meaningful feedback at any of these events, I'm calling them events. They're not pressers. They're rallies. He's using this to reach his masses. Fuck everybody else. Mm-hmm. That's why he called it Chinese virus for so long. Because he wanted attention. The media is going to pay attention to me. Right? I'm pretty sure if he could suck his own dick, he would, because he'd think it was the best ever. Seriously. Like that is the kind of narcissist we're dealing with. He'd do it and tell you it was the best he ever had. I have no doubt about it. It is disgusting that we are in a time of need and he's pushing drugs that don't work. Maybe they do. Who knows? The doctors keep telling them they probably won't.
Well, Twitter removed Giuliani's tweets about that drug.
Oh, thank God.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
It's already killed like 2 people who've tried it, didn't it? Or was it just the one person, or was it 2?
I think it was just one guy, but
it was a couple. A elderly woman tried it, and in his defense, but it also shows the level that disinformation can go. They drank something that goes into fish tanks, and it says for human consumption. But nobody differentiated for that. A lot of the people think, there was a time in America where people would say, what do you want to be when you grew up? And it would be the president of the United States. Who do you look up to? The president of the United States. Like, that was a thing. Like, it was an important position. It fucking meant something. And it doesn't mean a goddamn thing anymore because they've drug it through the mud. Like, I mean, seriously. Like, this is the Washington, Lincoln, slaveholders, all of them. Not Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson.
Yep.
Just you know what I'm saying. Like, these are men who mean something in our fucking history, and some of them good, some of them bad. But you cannot have drugged the title of president of the United States of America any further through the mud, and you see it every single day. It's like he's trying to bury it. He's
actively is
swinging.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, sometimes it does seem like it's overtly intentional to disrupt and to destroy the American presence, but it's probably he's just an asshole.
It is. And you know what fucking pisses me off? I'm sorry. These have made me incredibly mad. When he does something that seems presidential, the media is like, it's nice to see Donald Trump do. No, fuck him and fuck you for giving him a cookie when he did one thing right. You're not gonna reward a serial killer because he let somebody cross the street once, like, right? It's
right.
That's extreme, but like that's where I'm at.
Well, I think too, it's just a matter of like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's that intelligent to be that calculated, right? Like, he's a puppet. And part of this is like, the part that makes me so angry is that, like, there are the people that are behind him, whether it be like, I mean, I don't know. I would not be surprised if Steve Bannon wasn't still like pulling the strings and
somewhere
and
for sure.
Jared Kushner and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's like there is this really dark, sinister plan and like all of this behind the scenes. And the part that actually has made, I think, like the GOP and stuff like annoyed with Trump is that like he's doing things that actually kind of have always been done, right? But it's just like he's just kind of too like he is a child, like he's
flaunting it.
Yeah, well, but he doesn't realize that you're supposed to like not actually say the thing. Like, you could like have that side conversation or know like, oh yeah, really. But
he just doesn't care. He just comes out.
And he puts it out there, and it's like, he just doesn't understand. But there is that, like, I mean, I'm not sticking up for him. I'm just saying that like there's then this darkness behind it, and it's just so it's maddening. Like,
it's super hateful. Have you ever seen the movie Problem Child?
Yes.
Yeah, that kid grew up and became president. That's what the fuck happened. Seriously, that's the only explanation. Like, it's America's had enough. We've had enough, and that's. One day it's going to be over. One day.
I will just say, not to be, whatever, but we also can't lose sight of the fact that there are people that genuinely believe him.
Oh, I know. That's the dangerous part.
And that's like, and there's, like, I just keep trying to like chip away at why. Like, I need to understand, like, I feel like we can't get past it really if, like, I feel like I need to understand, like, what is it that they're holding on to? What is it that they're afraid of? Like,
it's just being cultural. A lot of it, it's just straight up cultural is what it's came from. That's how they were raised. Your peers tend to be the most influential on your life. So if you were raised in that type of environment, I mean, you're gonna have a tendency. Now, you occasionally get a few people who will break away. Usually I was one of those, but
I am one of those, and trust me. Yeah. Like, it rears its ugly heads from time to time, and it upsets me. Like,
compromise.
It's
you just get this confirmation bias that going is what I think it really is, that you get in this bubble where, it really is a little bit of a bubble. I mean, that's why he can get away with having My Pillow guy up there giving an infomercial in a press conference. It's because, I recognize that guy. He's a good businessman. Of course he would come up there. Isn't Trump a good businessman promoting other local businesses? Not realizing that this is
the My Pillow guy.
Exactly, not realizing that this guy is probably some multimillionaire living on a yacht laughing at him. It's like, this is not some, selling you a $5 pillow for $200. This is what this guy is.
These are the pillows they use in motels, like in the seedy movies, like the crusty ones. Like those are the types of pillows this man sells. It's just like they don't wash them. It's gross. Like they're bad pillows, right? They're awful. That's where we're at. The fucking My Pillow guy. He's in our task force meetings now. And which this brings me to my final point. Turn that motherfucker off.
Yeah.
I don't watch
listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cut
I
it
don't
on.
watch him.
Twitter I don't either. I've stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter will give you updates.
I never started.
There you go. That's the way to do it. And Daniel Dale is doing the Lord's work. He fact checks him and he tweets about everything, every dumb fucking thing this idiot says, and it's pretty much real time. So follow at ddale8. He will never hear this and will never know who I am, but I just plugged you, so remember me. Turn Trump off and stay the fuck home. Radical Hope Project, thank you guys for coming on and hanging out with us.
Look forward to hearing the updates later.
Absolutely. We're going
to get you guys back on for sure.
Absolutely.
And if you can, follow us at Radical Hope Proj, PROJ on Twitter.
Yep, absolutely. Follow them on Twitter. And volunteer and help if you can. Help get some of this information out. Right now we can only do so much because we're working from home, but we can spread information, and that's really, really important right now. So thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jess. I'm sorry that I fucked up your name, which is I don't know why that is, but it's not like we haven't. It's the quarantine. So all right, guys. So I'm losing my mind. So all right, guys, keep on getting out, keep on volunteering, and keep on looking ahead to Beto days.